Hey everyone, Denise here with another basic technique for you that I'm sure you already know, but if you don't, feel free to stand by and take a look at how we do some ink blending. I am not the expert on this by any means, and there are so many videos on YouTube out there for you to go and take a look at. Nonetheless, if you're going to stick with us, thanks for doing that, and it would be like being in class with us. So let's get started. So there are a few ways to ink blend. I'm going to use my Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to use these three. I have Shabby Shutters. I hope they're the right way for you. I'm going to turn them briefly this way, just in case. I have Shabby Shutters, Picked Raspberry, and Salty Ocean. I prefer the oxides only because I like that creamy, opaque look that they have, though many times I do switch straight to the Distress inks, though I use the Distress inks, not oxide, less. So I have those in the little cubes, so I do have reinkers, and I do use the reinkers a lot too. But because these are more of my go-to, I have these in the larger inks. But again, this is going to work with any kind of ink that you can easily blend. And the oxide, because I'm not really an expert at it, which shows you that anybody can do it. The oxides are a little more forgiving when it comes to blending, and also because they're a little, let's say, creamier, they stay wet a little bit longer, so more forgiving that way as well. So let me take my tops off here, of the inks, of course. I use blending brushes. I like brushes. You can use a blending tool, like with an applicator, whether it's a flat foam topping or a dome, like the rounded ones on it. You can use a finger dauber, but if you're doing a bigger piece of paper, even something this size, which is, and I ripped it, as you see here, very, professionally. This is 4 1/4 by 5, roughly. So it's just smaller than maybe an A2 size card. For me, this would be a beast to do. And I don't know that you would be able to get a smooth blend because of the little bit, I always have it on my finger and rubbing, and it's just going to take a lot. But if you're better at it than I am, and you probably are, then that's what you can do with it. So I have my ink tools, my blending brushes, and that's what I'm going to stick with for today. So let's do a few things. First, we can start with, you can start with the middle or not, but always when you do this, remember to start off the page. So you'll see here how I see where that line is. I started off the page, and I did that because I don't want this. See that big spot there? That's going to be, now it's not impossible. That's going to be a little challenging for me to get rid of. So if I start off the page, I don't get that. And like anything else, you can always, see, I did it again. You can always go back to it later. And again, I'm not 1, 2, 3 off the page and I'm on. Right? You can always go back and add more color later. I'm not pressing hard. Now, when you use these brushes, just a little tip for you, I'm pressing very hard right now with it. And the ink will stay on the brush. You can clean the brush, it's not a problem. I always do like 1, 2, 3 without my finger. You see how light that is compared to the top? 1, 2, 3, same amount with my finger because it presses down. Look how heavy that got, right? You can see the spots. So I'm gonna wanna even that out. And I do tend to put my finger on, I do tend to be a heavy inker. Now I'm just gonna go like this and create a Blair Witch situation, only because I want to do this for you. Now, here's the other thing that I found, though. We always say that there are no mistakes and make it your own. If you look at this, now I'm going to do it this, I know, I'm sorry about the 1 glare and 2 the shadow. There's no natural light in my basement at this time of day, and this is the only time I had to do it. So if you look at it this way, I hope that's focused, or this way. This way, now if this is the top, it kind of looks like it's got some stray clouds in there, right? And I'm terrible with cloud stencils, but it kind of looks like it's got some, because of the light. And if this is the bottom, now when I look at it kind of looks like the ocean, like the middle of the ocean. Looks like an angry ocean, but it kind of looks like the ocean to me. So it's not like I made a mistake. I just figured out something that I might be good at when it comes to doing a background for a card. So then we're going to move on to our next one, which for me is Picked Raspberry. And again, while I did have my finger on this, I wasn't pressing when I did. Don't press into your ink pads. I'm going to go off the page a little bit, though it wasn't enough. You see I have a blotch there. 3. Start off from the side. I'm not going to quite touch them yet. And if I want to go in the middle, you see what I did? I just did a little on the side before I went in there to take the bulk of that ink off. So again, just a little thing on the side. And then I'm not going to get a lot of that ink just blotted on there in the middle. So now I'm either going to take my pink and run closer to the purple because I think I have a lot of blue in there. And I'm going to go over it. And you see that I'm dabbing on the side there. And I'm never going to mix my brushes. And now I'm going to take my blue. And again, you can do this with any color you want, any color combo you like, anything you see on Pinterest or somebody's doing, anything at all works fine. But did you notice what happened in the middle here? Let's see if you can see it. Do you see right here, that line where they meet? You see how I'm getting purple? Because the pink and the blue have overlapped. And that's kind of what you're looking for when you're blending. So I'm gonna go back now to my green. I don't know how good my green is gonna look with my pink, but we're gonna find out. It's what I had out, so it's what we're using. And the Shabby Shutters, it is a green, but it's a very light green. It's like a yellow green. Sometimes you get combinations and it looks like mud. It turns brown. So, you know, a little color theory is good for that. And my substitute for color theory, because I don't have time for that, do you? My substitute for it is Pinterest color combos, right? Or the Tim Holtz blog itself directly. So now I would spend more time on this and I would make it much more even depending on what I'm doing. If this is going to be a background, I'm going to cover it with something. I'm not. This is okay. This is good enough. If I'm going to cut it out as a die and it's going to be a little more intricate, I'm not going to do anything with it. It's going to be good enough. If it's going to be a thicker like border, like a square, a rectangle, a circle, I might make it a little heavier, make it a little more even so that it looks nicer. But maybe I'm doing it this way. Maybe I'm doing a stripe. And if that's the case, you know, same thing. I'm going to start coloring this way. If it's a sunset, well, maybe I'm not going to make that. Maybe I'm going to like the clouds like that. You know, the clouds that we never knew were there. Maybe I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not really sure. So whether I'm doing stripes this way or I'm going to turn it this way, that is just some easy. Just remember to go back over it with the correct brush, of course, or blending tool you're using. Just remember to go back over the lines, and you can go back over it 2 or 3 times depending on the look that you want. This is really just for basic tutorial informational purposes. And you should always have a mat, I should say that. You should always have a mat down because you're going to have this ink all over because, you know, you want to start off the page. So then we have a card, it's a birthday card that we did where we did multicolors kind of everywhere. So what we did with that is we went off the side and we just sort of went in the middle. Now with this one, I wanted darker colors and I wanted it to look more polka dot. So I kind of, you know, you want to go off the page a little bit, maybe up here a little bit. So I did that. I know the blue's off the screen. I'm going to take the blue and the blue brush. And again, I want this to be heavier because it's a birthday card. I wanted it to be bright and vibrant. Is every part of it going to be bright and vibrant? No, that's okay. I don't think I have. Maybe here. Now, if I was smart, I would have started with the lightest color. That way it wouldn't, you know, damage the, what I'm doing is I'm just tapping that off. That way it wouldn't like damage the ink pad or anything, but clearly I was not that smart tonight. So I'll just have to brush off in between. So this is an as dark. I'm just, now, do I like this? I don't. Which means I'm going to choose better next time. Or if it's already late and I'm one of those people, I'll throw it out. But I know a lot of people are committed once they start and they are going to make it work. And I am jealous of you people because I do not have that gene. So this Yeah, kind of looks like pea soup or infant baby poop, right? That's just sort of the color. I like pea soup, but I'm starting to think maybe I don't now. I'm gonna take my blue because it's the darkest one, and I'm maybe going to just lightly blend over it to see what I get. Yeah, I didn't get much, but it's okay because again, if I'm using it as a background or if I'm cutting it out, that's fine. Now, we did do this with one card. It's called it's a happy birthday shaker card. So if you were here to see that, that's how we did it. We did dots, around, and then we filled in. I recommend, again, you start with the lightest color that you have, that you're using, and that you go on to the darkest color because it might be a little bit easier to fix any mistakes that you think you have. And again, this was not the best choice with these two, but it's live and learn, right? That's how you learn, you practice. I mean, it didn't look too bad here. It kind of looks like sand here on a beach, but live and learn. That's how it goes, right? So for this technique though, and that's what we're here for, just dots all around, and then you just continue and you blend over them. We'll do one more time. We'll do just the two. Just wiping off my brush. I just thought a regular pattern might be easier. I'm going to put that pink where I want it. Now, if I don't want the pink to be as strong, I can go ahead and tap it off like I just did. But I think I do want it to be strong because I think I want that purple to come out. Now, I do tend to be a little more linear and geographic than creative. So something that is patterned like this is something I would probably lean towards. Oops, here's the right cover. So now I'm going to go back to my blue. And I'm going to go over where my blue is. That way I can smooth out those lines. But I am going to go off in between just because I don't want any wayward pink showing up. And maybe I'm going to go in the middle here. And I still have some blue, but I have some nice. Now, I'm not sure that I like that as much as I like this because this is a little more colorful. But you see what you can do with it. Right, so you're still getting that kind of look. And again, any pattern that you do is going to look different from your last one or from what I did. So again, this is the same kind of technique we used with the birthday card. If you ordered that, or if you have a die similar to it and you watch that video, that's kind of what we did with it. There really isn't much more to this. When I do flowers, I do the same thing. I just go in the middle and do it, but I guess we'll do the flower shaping in another video. But I think that's kind of all of the ink blending for now. So if you were doing just, like the top of a card. So again, I have my blue, and you want to do like a little sky, like around the design. You're just gonna white, and that's where you want to go light, and you just very lightly go in or go around the design until you get the pattern you like. Now again, very light. Try and get it without the shadow. Not gonna happen. Very light, almost like clouds. But again, you're gonna tap off a second time. You're gonna go over it again because that's how you're gonna build that color. Okay? And then just go around, and then you've created a subtle background around a stamped image or something. So instead of just a plain white card, you've got some interest around it and something else for people to look at, and you've given it some sort of focus and background. So I hope that's helpful. As always, please subscribe to the channel so that you see everything that we have as we start to build the channel more. You can see things, and the best way to know when something else is up is to click that bell so that you get notified as soon as something else goes up. And if this video was helpful to you or something, you learned something, somehow I think if you know how to ink blend, you can teach me. But if you learned something and you're new to this, go ahead and like it so that we know it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please be sure to post on the Facebook group, Scrapbooking Stuff Group. If you need any supplies, contact Christina through the group or directly to the store at licraftstop, one word, .com. And that will take you right to the cart. You can get any of the distress inks that we currently have or any of the other supplies that you see us use in the videos. Alrighty, thanks for joining me. I hope you learned something. Have a great day. I hope to see you at a class in the store soon.